A nervous White House guest loses control of their golden retriever until President Trump steps in with a command no one saw coming. The White House lawn buzzed with quiet chatter as community leaders gathered for a special event, their voices blending with the rustle of leaves in the warm breeze. Men and women in sharp suits mingled near the iconic white columns, shaking hands and exchanging smiles, while Secret Service agents stood watch, their eyes scanning the crowd. Among the guests was Michael Carter, a small-town mayor from Ohio who had brought his golden retriever Max as a way to break the ice at this high-profile meeting. Max sat calmly, at first his golden fur gleaming in the sunlight, but Michael's hands fidgeted with the leash, his nerves betraying him. He wasn't used to events like this. Standing just feet away from the President of the United States, President Donald Trump stood near the center of the lawn, his red tie bright against his navy suit, waving to the crowd with his signature flair. He had just finished a brief speech about community leadership, his voice booming across the grass, and now he was greeting guests, shaking hands and posing for photos. The energy was light, professional, but Michael couldn't shake his anxiety. What if Max misbehaved? What if he embarrassed himself in front of the president? And then it happened. A squirrel darted across the lawn, catching Max's attention. The golden retriever's ears perked up, his tail wagged furiously, and before Michael could tighten his grip on the leash, Max yanked free. The dog bolted forward, leaping and barking, his excitement echoing across the lawn. Michael's face turned red, his heart racing as he called out, "Max, come back!" Max stopped, but Max wasn't listening, his playful barks growing louder as he darted toward the crowd. Heads turned, murmurs rippling through the guests. A few people stepped back, unsure if the dog was a threat, while others chuckled at the sudden chaos. Secret Service agents moved quickly, their hands on their earpieces, closing in to intercept the dog. Michael's panic grew, his voice cracking as he shouted, "Max, please come here." He could feel every eye on him, the small-town mayor making a fool of himself at the White House. He glanced at the president, expecting disapproval, maybe even anger, but what he saw instead made his stomach drop. Trump was watching, his expression unreadable, one hand still raised mid-wave. The agents were almost on Max now, one of them reaching out to grab the leash dangling behind the dog, but Max dodged, his playful energy unstoppable, his barks filling the air. Michael's hands shook, his mind racing with embarrassment. He could already hear the headlines: "Local mayor's dog disrupts White House event." He took a step forward, desperate to catch Max himself, when a voice cut through the chaos like a thunderclap. "Sit!" The command was firm, sharp, and unmistakable. It wasn't Michael's voice nor an agent's, it was President Trump's. The entire lawn seemed to freeze, the air itself holding its breath. Max mid-leap stopped in his tracks, his paws hitting the grass with a soft thud. The golden retriever turned his head toward Trump, ears twitching, and then to everyone's shock, he obeyed. Max sat down right there on the lawn, his tail still wagging, but his body perfectly still, looking up at the president with wide, attentive eyes. Michael's jaw dropped, his hands frozen mid-reach for the leash. The crowd fell silent, the only sound the faint rustle of leaves as every guest turned to stare. Even the Secret Service agents paused, their hands hovering, unsure what to do next. Trump stood tall, his hand lowering from the wave, a small smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. He took a step forward, his polished shoes pressing into the grass, and looked down at Max, who hadn't moved an inch. "Well, I'll be Trump," said his voice carrying that familiar drawl. "Looks like someone knows how to listen." A few nervous chuckles broke the silence, but Michael was still too stunned to laugh. He stammered, "I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I didn't mean for." His usually so calm, "I swear." Trump raised a hand, cutting him off, his smirk widening. "Relax, Michael. I've dealt with worse than a happy dog." He knelt down, slightly scratching Max behind the ears, the golden retriever leaning into his touch with a contented wag of his tail. Michael blinked, his face still flushed, but the panic was starting to fade, replaced by disbelief. How had the President of the United States just calmed his dog with a single word? Trump stood back up, brushing his hands together, and glanced at Michael. "You know, I learned that trick from a military dog trainer years ago. Best in the business. Said if you can command a dog, you can command a room." He chuckled, his eyes scanning the crowd. "Guess it still works." The guests erupted into light applause, a few people clapping with genuine admiration, others still processing what they just witnessed. Michael finally stepped forward, grabbing Max's leash with shaky hands, his voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you, Mr. President. I don't even know what to say." Trump waved him off, his tone casual but warm. "Don't mention it. Just keep that dog on a tighter leash next time." He turned to the crowd, raising his hand again in a wave, his red tie catching the sunlight as he called out, "Great to see all of you. Let's keep making America great." The guests clapped louder this time, their smiles wide, the tension from moments ago replaced by a shared moment of surprise and laughter. With that, Trump turned, his suit jacket swaying slightly as he walked back toward the White House, the white columns framing his exit. Michael stood there, Max sitting obediently at his side, still in awe of what had just happened. The lawn buzzed with chatter again, but the story of the president's unexpected command was already spreading among the guests, a moment they wouldn't soon forget. If you loved this surprising White House moment, don't forget to subscribe to Legendary Stories for more moments like these. Drop a comment below. What would you do if your dog ran loose in front of the president? We'll see you in the next story.